let's say you, yeah, specifically you, wanted to send me a secret message. How would you go on about it? Well, that's easy, you might think. Just encrypt it with a password we both know and send it. But there's a catch. You actually don't know me. Sorry. We have never met prior, so there's no way of establishing a password, a code, or anything of that sort. The only way we can talk is through public channels. Just think of it as holding a sign in a park. How would you do it in these conditions? Is it even possible? Well, yes, and that's with the help of two people, Diffie and Hellman. So the Diffie-Hellman key exchange is actually how a lot of the internet works. You might have used it without even knowing when you were working on something end-to-end encrypted, because this is a way of securely having a passcode that only two parties know, even if they can only communicate through public channels, as we said. A lot of people like explaining this with colors. But I only have one marker, so we're actually not going to use colors, we're going to use XOR. So this is a truth table for XOR, which means exclusive OR, and as you can see, it has a false or 0 when both of the inputs are the same, and 1 or true when one input does not match the other. This is very used in cryptography because it makes things look more random, it increases the entropy. So, in the key exchange, you have three parties. You have party A, you have party B, and a public channel. And a lot of people choose Alice for A and Bob for B, but I'm going to choose Alfonso for A and Bernard for B, because I think they are cooler and we can give Alice and Bob a little bit of a break, you know. The algorithm begins with choosing a public key. And I'm just going to use a 4-digit binary number. This is 1001. Now, A and B also choose a private key. The crucial thing is they aren't going to share with anybody, not between themselves, with anybody. They aren't going to share their private key. For A, I'm going to choose 1010 because this is A in hex. If you didn't know, hex is base 16, which is 2 to the 4th. So every hex digit is made of 4 binary digits. A is basically 10, so it's 1010 because this is 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, to the power of 2, to the power of 3, and you just multiply the ones that are on you multiply with the digits. So it's 2 to the 3 times 1, plus 2 to the 2nd times 0, plus 2 to the 1st times 1, plus 2 to the 0, which is 1, times 0, which gives us 2 to the 3rd is 8. So 8 plus 2, 10. Which in hex is A. And B, for that same reason, is going to be 1011. Now, what they do is they take the public key and combine it with their private keys. So here I'm just going to XOR them on each position. So this is 1001 and combine 0 with 1, XORed 1, 1, 0, and 0. And here we're going to have 001, we're going to have 0, 0, 1, 0. Yes. Now, these are their combined keys. They are going to share them over the public channel. Everybody can see the combined keys. And you'll see in the next part of the explanation the crucial step that's done there. But now that they've received each other's key, here it's this and here it's this, they're going to combine their original key with this. And why I like to do this example with XOR, even though it's not perfectly fine, as you will see, is because it's very visual. Now they just have to combine the keys, 1 with 0, here 0, 1 and the rest is 0, and here 1 and the rest is 0. And as you can see, these two numbers are the same, so they both independently of each other arrived at the same key that they are going to use for the end-to-end encryption. Now, the crucial thing in this key exchange is that from the information you're given in the public channel, you can't deduce anything about the private channels. And this is why we also need to talk about the real deal, the maths behind. Because in my example, you can somewhat deduce knowing this and this, the private key. So there is a small prerequisite though for the maths. Modulo arithmetics. If you've done any coding, it's the percentage sign in C. But maths-wise, it basically refers to remainders. So let's take an integer a. A can be written in terms of q times a number n plus r, which q is the quotient and r is the remainder. This is the quotient remainder theorem. And here r is always greater or equal to 0 and smaller than q. It's smaller than q because if it were bigger, you could just write r as q plus something and then factor it here, and it would be q times n plus 1 plus another r. Any kind of integer, whether it be 0 or a million or whatever number you want, or minus 332, can be written in terms of another integer times something plus a remainder. What we now do is we factor all the integers based on something. So for example, in Z7, we factor everything in terms of 7 and class them based on the remainders. So Z7 is actually this. These numbers with hats on top represent every number that has that remainder when divided by 7. So 0 represents 0, 7, 14, and so on and so forth. Any number that when divided by 7, in this equation q would be 7, any integer that divided by 7 would give us the remainder of 0 is represented by this 0 class. Any number that gives us the remainder of 2 is represented by the class of 2. This is called a complete and independent set of representatives, because they are independent of each other, so we don't have duplicates. For example, we could have written 0 as 7, and it would have been a duplicate, but no, it's written just once. It represents basically every integer imaginable. People also like to think of this, imagine this as a clock face, where you have the classes here, something like this. And this is useful for you to remember that no matter how big a number is, it's on here, but you don't know where. Meaning that from the class that number belongs to, you can't really deduce what how big the number used to be, because you only have this to work with. And for those who didn't know, I just assumed z is anything, any integer. So basically from minus infinity to plus infinity, but only plus and minus whole numbers, basically. Okay, so what do we do in the actual key exchange? Well, the public key is comprised of two numbers, a generator and a base. And here I'm actually choosing p as a prime. Why? Well, the number g needs to be a primitive root of p. What's a primitive root? If you choose a class from here, if that class raised to a power, let's say k, is equal to the class of 1, that's a primitive root. The advantage of a prime number is that a prime number is co-prime with any other number smaller than it, except 0. And from Fermat's theorem, we know that a number a raised to the power of p minus 1 is congruent with 1 modulus p, where p is a prime, which basically means that we can choose whatever class we want from here except 0. Okay, so now we've chosen our generator and prime number. In this case, I'm going to choose 3 and 7 because why not? I think this is the example Wikipedia gives also. And the secret key, the private key that A and B need to choose is just an integer. I'm going to choose 2 for A and let's say 5 for B. Now, how do they combine their private keys with the public one? Well, they do generator raised to the power of their private key modulus p. This would give us for a 3 to the power of 2, so 9, modulus 7 is 2, because 9 is 7 times 1 plus 2, and we don't need the hat, it's just 2. And here we would have 3 to the power of 5 modulus 7, so 3 to the power of... okay, so the maths actually did a mistake, did it again. So 3 to the power of 5 modulus 7 is actually class of 5. And now they share with each other this information, which is again g to the a mod p and g to the b mod p. And a now knows 5 and b now knows 2. That's really weird too. And now they combine it with their original key. How? Well, by raising this number to this power and doing modulus p again. So 5 to the second power is 25, and 25 modulus 7 is 4, and 2 to the fifth is 32. Modulus 7 actually is, and 32 divided by 7 is 28, plus 4, so modulus 7 would be 4. And they have independently arrived at the same number, which they use as their key. Now, this operation is the crucial one, because doing this function, g to the a modulus b, is a one-way function, meaning that it's very easy to calculate, but very hard to calculate the inverse of. Just by knowing the base, it's really hard to know the power that it was raised to, because, again, think of the clock. You don't know how many times the clock has passed here. You don't know how big the number is. The only way you can break this is by brute force, by calculating every possibility. And you don't use 3 and 7. You use numbers of a much bigger magnitude, making it a virtually impossible problem, even for supercomputers, to crack this. You might be thinking, well, can't we do anything with this? Actually, no, because here you basically did g to the a mod p to the b, which actually modulus makes the operations of exponentiation the same, so it's g to the a times b. Here it's the same thing. This, if you multiply this, it would be g to the a plus b, because it would be g to the a modulus p times g to the b. And if you have g to the a times g to the b, it's g to the a plus b. So you wouldn't be able from these informations to reach this number, which is now our private key. This is why this is secure. Okay, you might be thinking, that's too much maths for me. Can this actually be useful outside of computers? Actually, yes. As an experiment, I wanted to make this kind of key exchange with a friend and give him a message. I'll write in the chat two numbers, a generator and a prime number. Okay, so now think of a number. This is your private key. You're not gonna share this number with anyone, not even me. And raise the generator at the power of your secret key and do that modulo 19. And I'll do the same. Okay. Okay, this is my number. Now take the number I sent you, raise it to the power of your private key and do that modulus 19. Okay, so now we're gonna take that number that we both arrived independently at. That's our key that only we know because of the key exchange. And yes, I will encode a message by XORing it with the key. Every 5 bits will be XORed with this number. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I've sent you the encrypted number, decrypt it by XORing it with the password, and send me back your response. It's encoded in basic ASCII table, by the way.
Cel mai trist lucru pe care l-am auzit vreodată. I sent you the
Yes, I...
text.
Okay, I think I decoded it, and I'll see just now what you mean. Great!
Yes.
Yes, nice. Okay. So, this was a nice experiment. If you want to, you can try to do this with me in the comments. Just say what the generator is, what the prime is, whatever. Give me your message. But more importantly, please subscribe, because I think something really cool is gonna happen if I reach 1,000 of you.